From the Big D on the island of Nicolet, we proudly present a doubleheader of high school basketball. Today, we continue an annual rivalry between the oldest members of the Archdiocese in Minneapolis and St. Paul. The girls will start this doubleheader as the DeLaSalle Islanders host the Cretin-Derham Hall Raiders. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Beaton, and I'm down here because this gym will slowly fill up as the evening progresses with a couple of high-profile matchups. The girls' game features a pair of young and rising teams. Cretin-Derham Hall winners of 5 in a row, including a 67-62 win over Stillwater last night. A season-high 20. Elizabeth Ettinger capped that performance. Franny Hottinger also a double-digit score for the Raiders. However, Cretin-Derham Hall will play a little bit short-handed. Autumn Mendez is hurt, will not play tonight. The game could be a testament of Cretin-Derham Hall's depth. They're also in a tight battle in the Suburban East Conference, and thanks to some results from last night's games, the Raiders sit one game out of first place in the Suburban East. They can't gain any ground today, but a win against DeLaSalle could aid their campaign to get a conference title. This is a group to watch for in the years to come. DeLaSalle, Tanisha Scott, the head coach, told me these were the games she circled on the calendar when she was a player. And while the intensity has changed thanks to AAU Fall League and other factors that have increased the friendliness of these rivalries, this is a game her players will take very seriously. DeLaSalle had won 4 in a row until the streak was snapped by Holy Angels in a 1-point loss. Tanisha told me in pregame, this is a team, she doesn't know when they will peak. It could be at the end of the season, it could be next year, but there are a lot of young pieces to make this Islanders team a competitive one in the years to come. Ayana Gardner, the only double-digit scorer for the Islanders this year, but she really praised the growth and evolution of Olivia Travis, the junior, and the youngest of the Travis clan who have worn a DeLaSalle uniform. Tanisha feels Olivia has stepped up her leadership, and that is feeding into the younger post players on this DeLaSalle team. Kate Graham is another person to watch for, and Dakota Speedle also back. Last time we covered DeLaSalle, she was out due to injury. So the Islanders are at full strength and ready to pick up another statement win as they try to take this young and scrappy team to the promised land. We'll have the starting lineups in a moment. You're watching high school girls basketball. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. as the gym slowly fills up. We expect to be at full capacity by the time the boys' game starts, but a big crowd for this one. DeLaSalle will wear the black, Cretin-Derham Hall will wear the white. No trophy on the line in this game. The boys will start the inaugural Christian Brothers Golden Basketball, but Tanisha Scott told me this is a game where she doesn't need a trophy to understand its significance. She just looks at the score. We're underway, and the first possession will be marred by my own sound effects. Well, we couldn't figure it out, so we'll do this again. And finally, it goes to Cretin-Derham Hall. We lost about 4 seconds in the process, but who cares? This is a big game, and that will go to the Raiders. Cretin-Derham Hall looking to return to its glory days of sorts when Alyssa Carroll and Molly Geske were on the team. And oh my goodness, Chanel Anderson-Manning got the bounce off the top of the backboard. It didn't go over, otherwise it would have been a dead ball rebound. An unusual way to start our game, but they'll take it. Cretin trying to play for the steal, and a little bit of contact between Kate Graham and Paige Goalie. It will stay with the Islanders. Joe Lynch, extremely familiar with this rivalry. He's coached the Raiders for 8 years. And Tanisha Scott took part in this series as a player. And as Cretin goes on the run, gets the offensive rebound from Haley Moore, and a foul is called. It will be against DeLaSalle. Tanisha Scott told me in her day, when the rivalry was more fierce, if you went to Benilde or Cretin, DeLaSalle students did not want to talk to you. And there were a couple of players who transferred to those rival schools, and he said, we made sure not to talk to those people. It's changed since then, and Tanisha, with this younger team, has attempted to relay its significance. Again, this is a matchup featuring the oldest schools in the Archdiocese of Minneapolis, St. Paul. DeLaSalle, the oldest in Minneapolis, and Cretin-Derham Hall, the oldest in St. Paul. This is one of 3 annual doubleheaders that DeLaSalle conducts every year, and usually the last of the 3. Cretin-Derham Hall trying to go in transition. Here is Haley Moore. They lead 2-0 in the early going. Anderson-Manning, the deep 3 is off the mark. And a dead ball rebound to the Islanders. If you're wondering, the other 2 matchups, we mentioned Benilde St. Margaret's. That game takes place on December 23rd. And then usually around January, early February, they'll have a doubleheader with St. Croix Lutheran. St. Croix Lutheran, as you might expect, not a member of the Archdiocese, but Tri-Metro Conference. And last year produced a pair of stunning games, including a buzzer beater on the boys' side for St. Croix Lutheran. Mary Claire Francois pads her point and rebound totals there. And we're tied at 2 in the early going. This is Anderson-Manning. She averages 8.5 a game. Pottinger look for Anderson-Manning, and there's a bump. That will be on Ayana Gardner. Ayana, the daughter of Clayton Gardner, the JV coach. DeLaSalle, while their roster is at full strength, their coaching staff is shorthanded. Ricky Hill and Danielle Ellison not available for this game. Ellison having to work a monster truck event at US Bank Stadium about a mile away from here. DeLaSalle on the run. Missing the 3-pointer was Alexis Starr. So Tanisha told me if DeLaSalle loses, she'll blame Ellison and Ricky Hill. But not literally. Here's Anna Gardner on the run, and 1. Gardner showed some promise last year when she came in midway through the season. Averages 11.5, and one of the beacons of leadership for this young DeLaSalle team. Only 1 senior in this group, and she doesn't play a whole lot. So that is your beacon of leadership right there. And Gardner completes the 3-point play. Here is Haley Moore. That will be a blocking foul, and that will be the second personal on Gardner. We've had so many memorable moments here in our short time at DeLaSalle. And Gardner, even though she's playing with 2 fouls, gets the steal off the inbound. She drives, can't get the bounce, and the rebound goes to Hottinger. He hooks up with Anderson Manning, out to Ettinger for 3. That one's short. Rebound will be scooped up by Olivia Travis. As you may know, Olivia's older brothers, Jonah was a stud here for the Islanders many years ago, and Reed, part of the dynasty that Dave Thorson has established here. Reed now playing college basketball at Stanford. Jonah went to Harvard, and Tanisha Scott was telling me that's quite a standard her family is setting. And 2 of your distinguished athletes as older brothers go to 2 of the most academically rigorous universities in the country. But DeLaSalle and Cretin both pride themselves on their athletic commitments and academic achievement as well. Graham for 3. Looked a little off, and Haley Moore with the rebound. Moore, the skip to Anderson Manning, and she gets the layup. Anderson Manning with all 4 of Cretin's points thus far. Francois bounces over to Graham from the corner. Bullseye. And a collision. Kate Graham took a hard lick. That's going to stop play with 14-16. Tanisha Scott and the athletic trainer on site is going to take a look at Graham. I didn't see what happened. I'm sure our camera operators got it. But from here, it does not look good. Kate Graham averaging 8.4 points a game. Her season high is 15. And now Adam Pribble, the athletic director at DeLaSalle, will check in on the sophomore. Graham still being examined as Tanisha Scott pulls her other Islanders aside. And Graham gets up, looking a little woozy. Looks to be okay. She's walking off, but I imagine she'll be examined. And if it was a shot to the head, as it looked from our vantage point, from what I could see anyway, I imagine they'll put her through some concussion protocol before she can return to play. So back to action with 14:10 left in the first half. DeLaSalle up 8-4, and for now they'll have to play shorthanded. Three on the way. Sinking it is Elizabeth Ettinger. Joe Lynch said Ettinger's game has really expanded throughout the season, but she's a pure shooter at heart. And that's going to be a foul on Franny Hottinger as she tried to poke the pass away from Olivia Travis. Garner to inbound. Ball is live, and a jump. The arrow favors DeLaSalle or Cretin. It does favor DeLaSalle. We can't see the possession arrow from our vantage point, but it is up on the scoreboard, and it is Islanders ball. Long 2, unable to bank it was Alexis Starr. Cretin looking for the outlet. It's Hottinger, but she can't finish, although she draws the foul on Starr, much to her disbelief.
And free throws are coming for the sophomore forward. Ottinger at 6 feet. A great surprise, in the words of Joe Lynch. Noticed shades of her talent as a freshman last year. And can play inside or out. DeLaSalle has the advantage in size over Cretin-Derham Hall, but the Raiders have reached the 13-7 mark thanks in part to their pressure defense, using their quickness to compensate. Timeout call by Cretin-Derham Hall. We are tied at 8 with 13:22 left in the first half. We mentioned both schools members of the Archdiocese. In the case of Cretin, they do 3 community service projects each year. One of them was an initiative with Feed My Starving Children. Another charitable contribution came with Second Stork, an organization that packages supplies and provides them to families with newborn children who may not have access to those resources. And Lynch told me it helps them understand that Cretin-Derham Hall is part of a larger community, and it goes along with the mission of providing service to others. And DeLaSalle, familiar with that as well. Many of their students take part in multiple activities, whether that's sports or other extracurricular programs. This is a school with a lot of history here on Nicollet Island, and not just with the state tournament titles. Nurjai Weems, number 22, making her first appearance for the Islanders. Flory to Gardner. She gets a bump from Sydney Jackson, the transfer from Como Park. Didn't have to sit out a year because she came in as a 9th grader. Ottinger and Travis get tangled up, nothing called, and it will go to Cretin-Derham Hall.
Checking the Raiders, number 4, Samantha Snellen.
An item to monitor throughout this game is Cretin-Derham Hall's shooting efficiency. Against Norwood Young America, they struggled, and even though they were able to rally from 10 points down, they fell 1 point short, and that was because they had a lot of trouble finishing down low. It was also on hand for their loss to Woodbury, as Salmon throws it away. They were in that one in the first half, and the game got away from them in the second. CeCe Keeger would score her 1,000th career point in that matchup. And if the prestige of this rivalry wasn't enough to tell you how significant this matchup is, Go 95.3 is here, doing some interviews throughout the evening. Olivia Travis can't knock down the layup for DeLaSalle. Ottinger goes up and lays it in. Cretin-Derham Hall up 10-8. Jackson has some familiarity with this DeLaSalle team. You may recall the thrilling rivalry the Islanders and Cougars had a year ago. I was on hand for both of those games. Como Park swept the series and got to the state tournament. There's a nice shovel pass for Travis, and she gets the cleanup. Dakota Speedle set her up. Ottinger for 3. Does not get the bounce, and Francois with the rebound. Starr to Francois. Over to Speedle. Speedle did not play at the start of the year as she recovered from injury. It will stay with the Islanders. That first game with Como, which was held at this building, featured 4 technical fouls in the first half. It became highly emotional. There were a lot of connections on both sides to their prior schools. There's the high-low for Francois, and Speedle with a couple of dimes in the last couple of possessions for the Islanders. Sidney Jackson cuts through and hesitated at the last moment. That might have cost her. DeLaSalle on the run. It's Starr. Too strong. Rebound won by Jackson. A diminutive frame at 5'5", so she's not going to attack inside. We'll wait for help. Jackson tries to go baseline and ends up throwing it away. No backcourt violation. They say it was touched by DeLaSalle. A break for the Raiders with 10:06 left in the first half. Speaking of Como, there are quite a few members of the Como Park Cougars in attendance tonight. DeLaSalle, of course, a section foe, so they might see the Islanders when we get to postseason play. And Cretin-Derham Hall, as we noted, they can't gain any ground tonight in the Suburban East. But another win would certainly help the morale. Moore tried to go on the fadeaway. Olivia Travis with the block. Gardner finishes the transition look. And the Islanders on a mini run. They've scored the last 6. Abby Steichen, number 23 in the game for the Raiders. Here's goalie. Goes up and gets a Plinko bounce. DeLaSalle will keep it. 8:54 left in the first half. And massive substitutions on both sides. DeLaSalle sending in its youngest player on varsity this year, Nora Francois. She wears, well, Kate Graham. No ill effects from her injury. Nora Francois wears number 21, I was going to say, but Kate Graham is feeling it. She has 2 trays. Edinger out to Haley Moore. And here's Steichen. She kicks out. 3 on the way. Anderson Manning can't put it in. Steichen got the O-board, but she walked. Kate Graham was 6 to lead all players as of now. Moore pump fakes the 3, drives and scores. Haley Moore gets on the board. Nora to Travis. Pass was bobbled and Haley Moore won't be able to get the steal. That leaves Travis open, and a fortuitous sequence of events for the junior. Islanders up by 5. Ottinger used up the dribble and was stuck in traffic with the double team, had nowhere to go. Graham tried to set up for 3. Cretin-Derham Hall mindful of her stroke. Tries again. Leaves the pass low. Tie up and Cretin with the arrow. 7:09 left in the first half. I pity anyone who has to take a seat right behind us here. As you know, we have to sit up on the walkway here at DeLaSalle, so a few folks might get an obstructed view, but this is a big rivalry game. featuring two pairs of high-caliber teams. Haley Moore fakes, drives again, and the foul is called on Olivia Travis. So that will send Haley Moore to the line for two.
That's 4. Olivia Travis, her first team 6.
Haley Moore, the center of what makes us go, in the words of Joe Lynch, the Cretin-Derham Hall head coach. A tremendous defender and rebounder. She's got a long wingspan, and she'll run the point in Cretin's diamond press and half-court traps. Cretin favoring their speed to make things happen. Free throw shooting has been problematic at times for the Raiders. Kate Graham, another three. Can't bounce this one in. And the rebound goes to Elizabeth Ettinger. Goalie kicks out. Cretin swings it around. Ottinger missed the elbow J, and the rebound by Mary Claire Francois. Graham is fouled, and she has taken a couple of hard tackles in the first half.
Cretin-Derham Hall foul number 14, Paige Goldie, her second team foul. Back into the Islanders for 10, this conference star 22,
Graham will go out for now. She did not get continuation, so a side out here for the Islanders, who lead by 4. Noah can't hit the elbow J. Rebound is tipped in her direction, but she can't grasp it. Diana Gardner is there for the recovery. Tried to skip to Travis. Kicks out. Noah fakes the three, goes for 2, tries to get the bank, can't make it happen. And goalie takes a tumble. Whoever said basketball isn't a physical sport hasn't watched this one. Ettinger can't hit the three. Goalie with the O-board. The shovel pass to Moore, and she comes up strong. Haley Moore struggled mightily in the loss to Norwood Young America. Had a lot of chances down low and couldn't finish. Gardner through the hole and in. Anna Gardner with 7. Ottinger, they swing it around, and Ettinger fires the 3 and hits. 6 points for the junior. A 5'8" forward. You don't see too many players at that height, but here we are. DeLaSalle can't counter. Nora Francois trying to get things going from the floor. Hasn't been able to do so yet. Anderson Manning on the run. Ottinger knocks down the elbow jam. And a timeout is called with 4:15 left in the first half. 21-20 as Cretin-Derham Hall getting on a little run here. DeLaSalle, an academically rigorous school, and Tanisha Scott makes sure her students stay on top of that. And because she was an alumni here and there's still a few teachers around from her time as a student, she knows which staff doesn't mess around with athletics. That being said, academics really aren't much of a problem for either school here. Starr and Speedle, for example, averaging a GPA of 3.8. Francois for three, still can't find it. And the rebound goes to number 4, Samantha Salmon. Jackson tries to go outlet with Ettinger. DeLaSalle gets there in time. Ottinger tries to go baseline. And she put herself in a tough spot. Nurjai Weems with the block. Gardner again. No good. Weems tried to follow through, and goalie stepped on the line. So it will stay with DeLaSalle. Weems fires, can't bake it in, and a foul underneath. And it will go against Travis. That will be her second. And they will rule it a loose ball foul. DeLaSalle in the penalty, so 1-1 coming for Samantha Salmon. She hasn't scored much this year. Just 5 points entering this game. So we're tied at blackjacks. Francois goes up, can't get the bounce. You can't falter for trying. And another loose ball foul on the Islanders, so more free throws coming for Cretin-Derham Hall. Here's a little bit of trivia for you if you're a long-time follower of Minnesota athletics. Cretin-Derham Hall was used in part as the basis for the fictitious Eaton Hall Academy in the third Mighty Ducks movie. Cretin-Derham Hall was one of the hockey powerhouses at the time and still known for producing high-quality athletes. Franny Ottinger gets the front end. You know of Joe Mauer, of course. There's Kate Townley, who won the state championship with the Raiders in '99, went to Binghamton. Cretin splits again. We mentioned Carroll earlier. Chris Wenke, Paul Molitor. A pride of St. Paul. There's Noah Francois. Well, they tell you to keep shooting to get out of a funk, and Noah Francois gets on the board. Goalie to Anderson Manning. Ottinger tries to get around Francois, and she traveled on the way up, so no basket. 2:30 in the first half of what has been a tight game between two high-caliber teams. We feature many young rising stars in prep basketball. Francois short on the J, and goalie with the rebound. Neither team is led by more than 5. It's been that close in the first half. And this goes to what we've been talking about the competitive ability of these two teams. Closing out has proven more difficult. But for the younger DeLaSalle members who may not be familiar with this rivalry, let's stay with the Islanders. I have to imagine they're getting a few chills looking at this crowd. And the boys' game doesn't start for another hour or so. Nurjai Weems from 15, that's going to be short. And Cretin will let that bounce out of bounds for a dead ball rebound.
15 is about flooring, I think,
don't see this often, an inbound violation on the Raiders. So DeLaSalle catches a break. They're going to get the ball underneath the Cretin basket. Anderson Manning tried to get the steal. Anna Gardner, no good. And Nurjai Weems gets the finish. Cretin responds quickly. Now Anderson Manning up to 6. Just over a minute to go in the first half. (25-24). Gardner almost got into a trap and is bailed out with the foul. It's on Anderson Manning, just her first, but that means free throws are coming for Anna Gardner.
Anna Gardner at the line shooting 2.
Gardner knocks the front end. Makes both. Anderson Manning, bounce pass to Hottinger, can hit the fadeaway. And DeLaSalle may hope for the final shot here with 30 seconds left in the first half. We're not going to wait that long. And Isabel Flory left that one well short. But the baseline official, I should say the sideline official, calls it a deflection, and that is the call that will stand. So DeLaSalle will keep it with 22.6 on the clock. Weems to Starr. Lost the dribble. Ball is live. It's scooped up by Francois. She finds Flory and she banks it in. Cretin with 6 seconds. We got to move quickly. Moore off the mark. 29-24. DeLaSalle ends with a little bit of momentum on their side. Getting a couple of lucky breaks to go their way, but 9 points from Anna Gardner to lead the effort. And the first half of this rivalry series featuring the oldest members of the Archdiocese is proving to be quite entertaining. We'll take a break and come back with first half stats and analysis. You're watching high school girls basketball. DeLaSalle leads Cretin-Derham Hall 29-24.
If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, Patreon is the place. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. And we rejoin you here at the Big D on the island of Nicollet. Mike Peden here, all by myself, talking to myself. DeLaSalle and Cretin-Derham Hall, our first game in the girls-boys doubleheader, one of the annual rivalries that DeLaSalle has. As we noted, the oldest members of the Archdiocese in their respective cities, and this has been going for many, many years. It's one of those games where there's maybe no state tournament on the line, and these two schools won't see each other in state tournament play, but a lot of pride. These are the games you circle on the calendar, and no matter what happens, you remember the score. DeLaSalle up 29-24. Anna Gardner leads all players with 9 points. Kate Graham has 6 with a couple of threes. She suffered a head injury early in the first half, but recovered and was able to return to action. Cretin-Derham Hall, a trio of 6s from Chanel Anderson Manning, Franny Hottinger, and Elizabeth Ettinger. Cretin-Derham Hall with a 4-game winning streak on the line. DeLaSalle looking to resume their winning ways after coming up just 1 point short to Holy Angels 2 nights ago. Anna Gardner is fouled, and she will shoot 2.
We'll have the boys game for you following the conclusion of this game. And as we noted, this place is filling up near capacity now. Gardner splits there. Gardner, the only player from DeLaSalle to visit the free throw line thus far. Pottinger walked. This is the largest lead of the game for either team, I should add. And DeLaSalle has a chance to extend it after Francois was fouled as she tried to go up on the shovel feed from Gardner. Foul on Paige Goley, her third. She'll have to be careful. For DeLaSalle, Olivia Travis has 3 fouls. The only player in serious foul trouble. Mary Claire Francois, averaging 6.5 a game. Labeled the X Factor by Tanisha Scott. And when she gets aggressive, she can cause problems for the other team. Another split for the Islanders, so they push the lead to 7. 31-24 to score. Whoever wins would certainly get some consideration when it's time to seed the sections. Elizabeth Ettinger wants to demonstrate her three-point range. She hits her 3rd triple of the game. Gardner cuts through and comes up short that time. Francois with the rebound, can't get the bounce. Didn't look like she had time to set herself, and a lot of players will instinctively throw up the ball following an offensive rebound. DeLaSalle comes up with the steal there as Gardner chased it down. Graham to skip to Travis. Layup is short, and Hottinger with the rebound. Sydney Jackson sees a lane. And Mary Claire Francois shut the door. Jackson called for traveling, and in that case, 6 feet beats 5'5". Francois to skip to Travis. She kicks out to Graham. Now Gardner for 3. Rims out. Francois again threw it up right away. Ettinger has a lane. Nobody from DeLaSalle was on her. And Elizabeth Ettinger goes coast to coast. She's up to 11, and it's a 2-point game. As we noted, this is a DeLaSalle team that has led in many games in the second half, only to come up short. Graham with a little dribble drive, and it's a friendly bounce. So Kate Graham, a little razzle-dazzle for you. That drew some oohs and ahs from the crowd. Ottinger kicks out to Jackson. Ettinger for 3. That rims out. Haley Moore leaps in for the rebound and can't get the bounce. I thought she had a good look, and instead she tried to go for the reverse. I think if she had gone up right away, there was nobody to block her out. Gardner comes up short, and Jackson couldn't corral it. Might have been better if she let that one go, but I'm not down there. Fun game, though. Gardner goes baseline, draws the foul on Anderson Manning. And they will give Gardner continuation. More free throws for the junior. Gardner 4 of 5 before this trip at the charity stripe. Knocks both down here. DeLaSalle, as we said, lost 3 of their first 4. They suffered an 11-minute scoring drought in the season opening loss to Holy Family. We had that game for you, and showing a lot of signs of a young and inexperienced team. They don't lack in talent, but they'll probably win more games as their maturity increases over time. Madison Viverka making her first appearance of the Raiders. She wears number 21. We have a foul on DeLaSalle. It's on Nora Francois. That's her first personal. Jump ball, Cretin-Derham Hall with the arrow. Again, this is a Cretin team playing without Autumn Mendez, injured and unable to play in tonight's matchup. Mendez, one of the 3 double-digit scorers for the Raiders, and there's another one. Elizabeth Ettinger knocking down 3s and taking names. Ettinger with 4 triples. Weems pulls up from 15, is fouled, and will shoot 2. It's on Hottinger, her 3rd personal, and Nerji Weems, called a freak athlete in the words of Tanisha Scott. Really excited to see what someone like her can do over the next few years. Weems, just a freshman, gives the Islanders a little bit of height. The other thing that DeLaSalle is looking for is a true point guard. Tanisha Scott doesn't feel this DeLaSalle team has one, and that's not a knock on her players, but a true point guard can really help set the offense for you. And speaking of point guards, she's really excited that Washington, the Mystics, are about to get one, and Christy Tolliver. And if you wonder why she's excited about that, well, Anderson Manning comes up strong on that drive. It's because Tolliver will now be a teammate for Tanisha's younger sister, Taylor Hill. Taylor re-signing with the Mystics, and Anna Gardner tries to cut away to the rim and comes up short. Rebound goes to Weems. She had a tough angle, but another old boy. Gardner, 3rd time is the charm, and she'll have a chance at 3. That was hustle with a capital H. The foul will be charged to Haley Moore, her 2nd. Anna Gardner, who's been quite proficient at the free throw line. Well, it wasn't until I mentioned it. Cretin-Derham Hall calls timeout.
30-second timeout.
Ina Gardner is 6 of 8 from the free throw line, if you're keeping track. And the Islanders are up by 6, 38-32. Cretin with 3 timeouts remaining. Now, even without Mendez available tonight, Joe Lynch touting his depth this season for Cretin-Derham Hall. And he said he can put in people without a drop-off in athleticism or speed, and that could help them as we get to section play. Cretin in a tough section, section 4, 4A. They are in a tight battle for that top seed. They trail Eastridge and Woodbury and White Bear Lake by a bit in the QRF, but if they can end the season on a high note, that could change. Now in Section 4-4A, you only host the first round. After that, it's neutral site, but I don't know if Cretin wants a 4-5. Tartan, another rising team this year in that group. Haley Moore gets a friendly bounce. That puts her up to 5. A good ATO play for the Raiders. And they cut the margin to 4. Francois left alone. She can't hit the 3. And Weems will be called for an over-the-back foul.
Following the Islanders from International, Weems her first, Steve second.
Tanisha Scott bellowing instructions to her team. This is her second season with the Islanders after starting her coaching career at Minneapolis South, where she led her younger sisters, Morgan Hill, and Elizabeth Ettinger is on fire. She's up to 17, coming off a season high last night in the win over Stillwater. She put down 29 in that one. And Cretin-Derham Hall showing no signs of fatigue in this back-to-back series. Of course, they're used to it by now. Weems can't duck under, but she will shoot 2. For DeLaSalle, this is their third game in 5 days. Cretin-Derham Hall on the back end of a back-to-back. Weems split her first time up. The foul was just the first on Samantha Salmon. Weems averaging 5.5 a game. Her season high is 15. DeLaSalle 10 of 14 from the free throw line. Cretin just 3 of 6. But they only trail by 3 thanks to some proficient shooting from distance. Hottinger gets out of a jam. Ettinger for 3. Oh, that was close. But Hottinger with the rebound and gets the roll. It's good to have some support down low. Cretin may not be the biggest team, but they don't show it here. 40-39, 1-point game. Francois used up the dribble. Finds Flory. Gardner. Out to Kate Graham, who's knocked down a couple threes of her own. Graham, the lob for Travis, goes up, and a late foul. It's on Haley Moore, her 3rd. More importantly, Cretin-Derham Hall is now in the penalty. So DeLaSalle will shoot free throws the rest of the way. And they're 10 of 14. They're shooting a pretty good clip here. Olivia Travis. In the open, we spoke of her increase in leadership, putting in a lot of work in the gym. And Tanisha Scott did reference the success of her older brothers. Jonah didn't get a state title, but his younger brother Reed did. He got a lot of them, in fact. The two of them having successful college careers as well. Who knows if Olivia will follow that route, but she knocks down both free throws. Haley Moore draws contact and draws it again, and the foul will go to Gardner. That's the 3rd on Ayana. Haley Moore, 1 of 2.
Number 2, Chanel Anderson Manning, back into the Raiders.
This is a Cretin team that talks about leadership, trust, and respect as they try to adopt the values they learn on the basketball court and transfer them to the community. DeLaSalle can't hang on to it. Cretin shooting 50% from the free throw line. DeLaSalle 75%. Timeout Raiders. They have 2 remaining. 10:04 left in the second half. And to continue the discussion about leadership and trust, Joe Lynch told me before the Norwood Young America game, and this still rings true, that as much as we talk about their athletic abilities, what's more important is the development as confident young women who learn about themselves and what they want to be involved with. He said it's really cool to see them mature as players and as women, seeing them work together on a multitude of issues. And that will continue no matter what their record is. And DeLaSalle, with their young staff, they had a lot of great players come through here over the last several years, including the three-peat with Faith Johnson-Patterson. When you saw the likes of Tishana Johnson and Alina Starr overwhelm the competition in 3A, winning 3 straight titles in that class. After a few years, Faith left to go to Eden Prairie. Tanisha Scott took her place to return to a sense of home for her, but I do recall last year Tanisha telling me the importance of continuing the legacy that Faith Johnson-Patterson established, providing role models for these players, because there aren't a lot of African-American female coaches out there. DeLaSalle going for the steal, and they come up with it. They lead by 2. They've held the upper hand ever so slightly in the second half. 3 on the way. Starr knocks it down. 45-40. Cretin trying to push. Jackson needs help, finds Ettinger. Cretin looking for a kickout option, and they end up traveling. .9:26 to go in the second half. Fans started filing in around tip-off of the girls' game, and of course we had 9th grade and JV teams take place earlier today. That's the allure of this rivalry. All the younger squads alternate games leading up to the varsity matchups. We had a jump ball as I was pontificating, and DeLaSalle with the arrow, so they'll hang on to it with 9:10 left in the second half. DeLaSalle looking to win 5 of their last 6. Cretin-Derham Hall looking to extend their winning streak to 5. Anderson Manning with the steal. She can't recover in time, and 3 Cretin bodies crashed the boards, but they were too far underneath. So DeLaSalle comes up with it. And now they can't hang on to it. Starr, 3 ball. Cannon from the corner. That was a tumultuous sequence. Moore goes up. Yes. Haley Moore up to 8. 1 possession game. Weems out to Francois. Tries the skip to Travis, and it's too high, but it was deflected. And this is turning into a standing room only crowd here on Nicollet Island. Weems Out to Starr and out to Gardner. Will reset the play for the Islanders. Gardner goes up. That's strong. Weems with the putback. There's a Weems with 7. Anderson Manning out to Moore. And Cretin throws it away. Like we said in the open, by the time the boys' game starts, it will be you, me, and several hundred of our closest friends. An atmosphere reminiscent of Monday's game, as we have a foul on the Raiders. Reminiscent of the Maple Grove Champlain Park game on Monday, featuring the #1 and #2 teams in 4A for boys basketball. Champlain Park winning that one. Anderson Manning picking up her 3rd foul. Gardner will shoot 1 and 1 free throw line. Another piece of DeLaSalle history for you. Tanisha Scott did not have a state title on the resume. And there's a sign of sportsmanship. Samantha Salmon offers a hand to Weems. Like we said, this rivalry not as intense as it was in Tanisha Scott's day in terms of the bitterness. And a lot of these players know each other, and they want to win this game, but they're not going to hold a grudge afterward. Gardner lost it, but it was deflected off Cretin-Derham Hall. So we're going to say Tanisha Scott, she doesn't have a state title to her credit, but she was part of the first DeLaSalle girls basketball team to reach the state tournament back in 2001. Nora Francois scores off the inbound. She's up to 4. And DeLaSalle takes a 7-point lead, 49-42. Jackson skips it to Salmon. Moore lost it on a triple team. Recovered by goalie and 1. And Weems is flustered by the ruling. That was a badly needed bucket for the Raiders, as Weems picks up her 2nd foul.
Number 5, Mary Claire Francois back in for DeLaSalle.
Weems will go to the bench for now. Mary Claire Francois will return to the floor. And goalie uses the backboard to her benefit. It's there for a reason. Makes it a 4-point game again. Francois faked the 3, goes inside for Travis, and the high-low pays off. Olivia Travis up to 8. Jackson to Ettinger. DeLaSalle wants to keep an eye on her. Pass deflected, back out to Ettinger. Ettinger with 5 triples, but lost it there. Moore steals it back. And a traveling violation is called. She didn't quite have control of her legs. But this game far from over. 6:10 left. As we saw in the Norwood Young America game, this is a Cretin team that can use the pressure defense to rally back in a big way. And that will be a foul on Jackson. And she took a hard hit, it looks like. She gets back up and is okay. Free throws coming for Dakota Speedo. Speedo playing in just her 8th game. As we noted, missed the first 11 due to injury. Speedo, a junior, standing at 5'9". And since her return, she's averaging 6.1 a game. The foul was just the first on Jackson. And we have a foul on DeLaSalle on Travis. That is her fourth. Something to keep an eye on as the girls' portion of our doubleheader reaches the closing stages. 5:57 left. On a 7-point margin, the largest lead for DeLaSalle, and Travis will go out. Tanisha Scott's not going to risk losing her to foul trouble at this point. Stika back on the floor for the Raiders. Ettinger, you see DeLaSalle closing quickly. They're not going to let her lose from three-point range now. DeLaSalle looks like they're playing a 1-2-2. Cretin tries to thread it inside. You see the zone collapse. And Cretin will try again. Moore kicks out. Ettinger trying to work her way free. DeLaSalle playing some stingy defense on this series. And it's all for naught. Paige Coley throws it up and gets a prayer answered. Paige Goley, with that basket, has achieved a new season high. She's only averaged 2.4 a game, has not scored more than 6 until now. The foul is the third on Weems. Goley cannot complete the three-point play. Cretin shooting 50% from the free throw line, 5 of 10. 5-point game though, and that's the important thing. Spida looking to change that, and she does. Spidel with a big-time triple. Goley sees a hole and bounces it in. .430 and counting. Weems can't hit the runner, and the rebound by Ettinger. A chance for Cretin. Moore goes up, can't get the bounce. A jump, Cretin-Derham Hall with the arrow. And that's all thanks to the effort of Hottinger reaching in there to try to scoop that rebound. So they'll hang on to it with 4:05 left. This is the critical part of the game. Oh! Hottinger had a good look as Cretin was able to penetrate to the baseline, and Hottinger left it empty. Sometimes those bunnies are the toughest shots to put down because they don't require much strength. You need that soft finesse. Francois goes up, can't put it in. Now DeLaSalle out of fouls to give, so they'll have that to contend with. Goley out to Ettinger, fakes the three. DeLaSalle doing a good job staying with her after she knocked down a couple earlier this half. Here's another person though trying to step up, and Goley could not put that one in. Gardner through the lane, can't get the bounce. And that was called a jump. Haley Moore couldn't get possession of that one in time, so it will stay with the Islanders with 2:56. But as we saw last night, this is not an insurmountable margin. We saw Eastridge claw their way back from 12 down with about 6 minutes to go in the second half. And Gardner looking to erase any hopes of that here. I was going to say we saw Eastridge claw back from 12 down to knock off Roseville in overtime. So there's every reason to believe that Cretin-Derham Hall has a comeback gene waiting to activate. The question is, can they do so with 2:43 left? Anderson Manning gets a friendly bounce. And she gets the steal. We noted those pressure defense can result in opportunities, and goalie draws the foul on Flory. She will shoot 2. Page goalie having perhaps the game of her young career. A 5'9" sophomore forward. These are 2 big ones, to say the least.
Number 4, Olivia Travis, St. Templates' conference star, back in for the Islanders.
Cretin continues their trend of splitting at the free throw line, but that does make it a 1-possession game with 2:27 on the clock. Cretin calls timeout. They have 1 remaining. Well, here's a look at the game reset for you. DeLaSalle with 4 timeouts, Cretin with 1. Effectively speaking, DeLaSalle is in the double bonus the rest of the way because Cretin has 9 fouls. DeLaSalle has 7, so any foul would be 1-1 for the Raiders. And the Raiders currently hold the possession arrow. Elizabeth Ettinger with 11 second-half points, including 3 trays. She's hit 5 overall. Page goalie with 10. In her first double-digit effort of the season. And the Raiders are doing this without Autumn Mendez. For DeLaSalle, Ayanna Gardner, the only double-digit scorer, and that has been the case for most of the season for this Islander team. And I'll give you an idea of how young this team is by relaying the season high. Nobody has scored more than 22 points this season, and that was Alexis Starr. That's pretty unusual for prep basketball. Usually you'll see some 30 and 40-point efforts, but again, this is a young team trying to discover their identity, not just for this season, but for future years. A 1-possession game. Too much time for DeLaSalle to get cozy here, especially when you have Anderson Manning and Haley Moore leading the trap defense that the Raiders use so effectively. They get the steal. We have a traveling violation. Pottinger wanted the foul, didn't get it, and she cannot believe it. What could have been a breakaway for the Raiders becomes a break for the Islanders. And Francois, well, she doesn't have breakaway speed. DeLaSalle had the right idea, though. And Francois had a little more speed to her. Doesn't matter. Alexis Starr drains the three-pointer. You think they're growing on trees with the way those 3-pointers are going down. And it's a 6-point game. That could be the dagger for the Islanders. We'll see. Pass mishandled, and Pottinger left it short. Travis to Starr. He's not going to do anything foolish now. And Anderson Manning fouls Starr. Alexis Starr. It's a big-time 3-pointer. If she can make a free throw or 2 here, that may be enough to ice this one. And moving forward, free throw shooting may be an imperative for the Raiders, and we talked about this in the Norway Young America game. They had trouble hitting the mark from the 15-foot line in that one, and that cost them. Who knows how the outcome would change. They picked it up a bit here. Page goalie tries for the layup, no good. Ottinger with the putback. Cretin only has one timeout left to stop the clock. DeLaSalle, they're not going to use any of them. Not in this situation. But they forced the turnover there. We couldn't quite see it from here because the bench is right in front of us. But Cretin-Derham Hall gets a lifeline. What they do with it, we're about to find out. But they need a basket, and they need it quick. It will be the one. Kickball, 46.3 on the clock. They'd love to set up Ottinger or Ettinger, or either of them for that matter, but they really would want to set up Ettinger for a three-pointer here. And they won't get it. Cretin-Derham Hall in the thick of this throughout the second half. And DeLaSalle giving them another lifeline here as they throw it away. But 35.2 is on the clock. And Cretin is not only fighting a 6-point deficit, they're also fighting the enemy of time. Manning going for Ottinger, and she draws a foul. That will stop the clock with 29.3. The foul's on Olivia Travis, so she will be done for the day. And that free throw did not count because, as you know, you get 30 seconds to make a substitution, so Tanisha Scott taking her time to make that choice, and it actually worked out in Ottinger's favor because she missed, so she'll get 2 free throws and got a freebie effectively. This one's for real, and she missed anyway. Ottinger with 10 points. And even if Cretin is unable to pull out victory from here, well, she got the miss. Well, she traveled. And it looks like Cretin won't pull out a win here, but well, this is a team to keep an eye on for future years. All the starters are quite speedy. 3 of them are on the 4x400 relay team. And there you hear the applause as Cretin-Derham Hall plays foul and chase. But the DeLaSalle fans know they will start this doubleheader with a win on the island. And again, no trophy for the girls' game, at least not yet, but Tanisha Scott will be highly pleased to chalk up a W in this one. She says, win or lose, you never forget the result of a DeLaSalle Cretin game, and the Raiders will call a timeout with 23.4. DeLaSalle, as we noted, trailing St. Anthony Village, Como Park, and Matamidi in the QRF rankings in Section 4-3A. Matamidi will likely be the top seed. They did lose to Como Park, although that was a home game for the Cougars. Matamidi is still the odds-on favorite to get out of Section 4 this year with the outstanding post play of Emma Grothaus. Looking ahead for the Islanders, they get 3 more Tri-Metro games, 2 more I should say. They picked up a game with Maranatha as a compensation, as Maranatha was unable to play Mare Lutheran due to inclement weather. That game will be at DeLaSalle. We won't be there for that one, but we will be at DeLaSalle for their final game of the regular season on February 22nd when they host Minneapolis North, a game Tanisha Scott is excited to take part in her first competitive battle against her coaching mentor, Crystal Flint. Cretin-Derham Hall, they get Forest Lake, a team that could make some noise in Section 7 4A. And then we'll end with White Bear Lake, Anoka, and Woodbury, so 4 conference games. Remember, they're only 1 game out of the lead in the Suburban East. So if they can win the rest of the way, maybe get a little bit of help, there's still some time to get some hardware. But the day will go to DeLaSalle in this rivalry. DeLaSalle will win its 5th game out of their last 6, and Cretin-Derham Hall's 4-game winning streak will come to an end. And coming up next, the Big Kahuna. The #1 team in 3A, DeLaSalle, the 5-time defending state champions, going up against Cretin-Derham Hall, a team with one of the top juniors in the state, in Daniel Oturu, who is verbally committed to Minnesota. Gardner shooting more free throws here, but it's academic at this point. A well-played game, though. Gardner will finish with 16. Ettinger takes one more drive, banks it in, so Elizabeth Ettinger will conclude with 19 points. And there's the buzzer. DeLaSalle wins 62-56. They go to 12-9. Cretin-Derham Hall falls to 13-8. And we'll try to get a word with Diana Gardner with a team-high 16 points at halftime of our boys' game, because I presume both teams will stick around to cheer their brethren on. Elizabeth Ettinger, the game's high scorer for the Raiders with 19, Franny Hottinger with 10, and Paige Goley with her first double-digit performance of the season with 10. DeLaSalle's notables include Alexis Starr with 8, Kate Graham with 8, and Olivia Travis with 8, Nurjay Weems with 7. DeLaSalle led throughout the second half and did not relinquish it. 62-56 is the final. The boys' teams will take the floor, so in about 20 minutes, get ready for some fireworks. So we'll pause and come back for the boys' version of this doubleheader as they play for the inaugural Christian Brothers Golden Basketball Trophy. Again, no trophy for the girls' game, but DeLaSalle will be happy to take the win nonetheless. We'll see you in about 20 minutes.